So the Mary skin gets its name from marionette. Now what a marionette is basically a puppet, but not just any puppet, in particular a wooden puppet that is also jointed and it needs a puppet master. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the Mary character that has been added into Roblox Piggy Book 2 that I believe is going to be playing a decent and significant role into the story. So make sure you stick around to the end of this video, as I am going to be going over some of the theories that you had that I asked for the other day, and you guys came up with some really awesome theories around this character. So yeah, let's go ahead and get this started. But if you do enjoy today's video, remember to leave a like on it and feel free to subscribe. And if you want to show your further support to me, you can always use star code BIGB2 when purchasing Robux or Premium. So let's go ahead and break this down. So Piggy Book 2 Chapter 5 release, which was the sewers, by far one of the scariest maps that we have to date on Piggy. And in that, we got two skins. We got Alphys and we also got the Mary skin. Now I was kind of getting confused on pronouncing Mari or Mary, but it's definitely Mary, being that it's a marionette, which again is the proper name for this specific type of puppet, which makes sense on how it actually got its name. So who is this character? What story is behind this character? We're gonna be going out and putting a lot of theories out there and talking about this character. So first off, I want to say that Mary is being controlled. I mean, it would make no sense if Mary was not. So someone is controlling the Mary skin. Now, do we think this is someone alive? Do we think this is someone dead? That has not yet been confirmed yet. However, we do know that Mr. Stitchy is still out there. Now, I had a prediction that, you know, when we played Chapter 4 and the Mr. Stitchy event came in, I feel like that is what started all of this, which is now taking place here. So this was the light the beacon, summon it. I feel like that had a lot to do with this when this like Mr. Stitchy kind of thing started coming around. And we summoned Mr. Stitchy. And I feel like summoning Mr. Stitchy when we did in Chapter 4, again, kind of trickled down into how we are getting all this spooky, scary stuff. So I like the fact that if that's the case, it kind of like things we did back then is affecting things that is happening pretty much now. So Mary has the same eyes as Mr. Stitchy. I do find it funny that I believe Mary and Mr. Stitchy are also missing around the same type of eye. So Mr. Stitchy's, if you look at Mr. Stitchy, the left eye is the one that is kind of blank. And if you look at Mary, the left eye is the one that is actually coming out of the character. So that's something to also think about, like, why do these characters also have the same eye that is kind of like, let's say, I guess I would say messed up. So that definitely is, you know, comparing things to these two characters. So we have the eye. We also have just the creepy aura around both of these characters. We also have the fact that they both have the same type of jump scare. We cannot forget that either. So Mr. Stitchy has the jump scare where, you know, Mr. Stitchy pushes towards you, and then Mary also has the same jump scare to where Mary pushes towards you, and it almost sounds the same. So there's a lot of relations between Mr. Stitchy and Mary. Now, do I think Mary is being controlled by Mr. Stitchy? There is a pretty high chance this is happening. Now, all this roots back down to, I think it has a lot to do with devoting to the eye. We really started seeing this eye in, I believe, the safe place in the end of that one, where it talked about the insolence. But what I do want to point out is, if that Mary is being controlled and Mary is just, you know, simply just a figure to kind of be used, but there's just a spirit inside of the Mary, as Mary is just made out of wood and kind of brought to life. But let's think about this. Back in Chapter 5, Book 1, this was a very long time ago. We've been getting these decipher codes a lot, but there was something on the board in the school. And think about this, guys. Think about the Mary skin and how Mary is being controlled by somewhat of a puppet master. And let's take a look at this board and let's translate what it says. So, I feel everything I do. I can't control my actions. I can't help myself. My mind yells for help, but my body does not agree. I wish the world would understand. And the teacher put that there. Now bear in mind, Guys, what does this sound like? This sounds like you're a puppet. It sounds like you're a puppet and you cannot control anything you do. Your mind is pretty much there, you yell, but your body does not agree. Why? Because someone else is controlling you. So, guys, who is behind this infection? If this is a case where the infection actually allows, let's say, the I, like this cult, to also control you, maybe characters are being turned into puppets, and maybe we will see more puppet characters in the future. Think about this. The infected are just kind of going after you, right? But they're not really being, I would say, they are being controlled because they're just mindlessly going after you, attacking. But again, what if someone is really kind of working a way to really make this into puppets and really kind of have it to where it's not just an infection, but it's bigger than that? And I think that's, again, where this whole I thing kind of comes about. But very, very creepy stuff here, guys. And you all had some really good theories. Also theories, which I'm going to cover as well. But a lot to think about, guys. Do you think Mary is also being controlled, or is a particular character who's been made into a puppet? So yeah, a lot to think about. But let's go ahead and start talking about these theories. So here we go. So Stefan Lutro Victor says, theory, Mary is being possessed by Mr. Stitchy. Mary is a wooden puppet to hat that was made by Mr. Stitchy. That's how Mr. Stitchy sees. Now that is such a great theory, because think about it. If we've actually brought Mr. Stitchy, so we summoned Mr. Stitchy in chapter 4, Mr. Stitchy's also gone back to the portal, so it's technically gone. So being that we haven't summoned Mr. Stitchy in physical form yet, what if Mr. Stitchy is finding a way to also still kind of be in contact with what I would say our piggy realm, and is making physical objects and kind of just guiding that through the world? So that's also something to think about. I really like that theory a lot. Matteo Vega says, maybe Mr. Stitchy got lonely in wherever he was staying and was missing Penny Piggy, aka his creator, and made himself a friend. He can spectate out of it, and sort of like Mary is like a puppet when he can see out of it. I really like that a lot too. Let's not forget about Penny in the distorted memory, who was also kind of slightly infected. So who's to say that Mr. Stitchy and Mary aren't necessarily like Penny's toys, basically? So it's also something to take into account. Now, Blake's Home Roblox says, theory, Mary was a lost soul. She was never brought in the world. Her only friend was Mr. Stitchy because he could go back and forth to the world and the unknown. She always wanted to be on Earth. After Mr. Stitchy lost his only friend in the real world, he got lonely. So he remembers Mary and goes back into the unknown and captured Mary in a voodoo wooden structure and brings her to Earth. Mary can't move herself, but she can still, she's still a lost soul and can never become human on Earth. So Mr. Stitchy possesses why she has the same eye color and she can pretty much get all her moves controlled, like her every move. Her figure comes out as a mouse because that's what Mary would have been on Earth. That is such a great theory, and I really, really love that. That's amazing. That is mind-blowing. Helen Laverty says, Mary is one who got Mousy infected. In Mousy's backstory, Roby cut off her legs, which is why she's in the vent. But Roby was never infected, just a mall security bot who went kind of crazy. So I think the reason Mousy became infected is because Mr. Stitchy used the mouse voodoo doll, Mary, to feel her infected. I also think there are other voodoo dolls of other characters, like animals, that Mr. Stitchy has used to cause other infections. Sorry if this doesn't make sense. I tried my best. LOL. No, I think this makes perfectly sense. Like, imagine the characters that we've already got that are pretty much infected in the past actually start coming back as like a total of like these infected characters that are completely infected are coming back as wooden dolls and are being controlled. So that is something to really think about. Yona Arts says, Mary is just a normal wooden doll, but Mr. Stitchy is in control because you can see the pupils. They are not wooden, and they are the exact same pupils as Mr. Stitchy. This is what we were talking about, but still, we don't know if this is true or not though. Now going and talking about Mr. Stitchy or Mary, Mr. Stitchy can go and control whoever he wants. So he controlled Mary. Also, Mary is just a wooden doll that is made out of wood except the pupils. So what I think is that Mary is actually canon in Piggy's storyline. Why? Because Mr. Stitchy is controlling Mary. Oh my goodness, I really agree with that. And what if Mr. Stitchy is now spying on everyone here? So yeah, this is like getting very, very scary and deep. And Anya says, Mary is a puppet of the insolence. They use Mary to do all the dirty work and they can see through him and control him. That is amazing. Toy Bond 211 says, theory, Mary is someone who tried to bring Mr. Stitchy to life or something, but then Mr. Stitchy became evil. They mind control Mary and they think Mr. Stitchy can mind control other people. Maybe Mr. Stitchy comes in the story as someone who is like a good person, but they are controlled by Mr. Stitchy. Wow, that is very good. And last up, Frodo_gamer says, probably won't see this, but I think that Mr. Stitchy takes infected and makes another one out of them, but in puppet form. Or Mr. Stitchy, they put Mr. Sticky, is controlling Willow. That's why she is more evil than she was back in the alleys. Or Mrs. Stitchy can just look at the infected and make them into a puppet. And that is what happened to Alphys. That is so good, guys. But there's a lot of theories around this character. If you guys have any more theories, comment them down below. There's so much, so maybe we'll bring another video kind of breaking down this character, thinking about it, talking about it. Don't forget about the classroom we had in the end of the sewers map. Also the note that says, you know, I gave him a face, I was his only friend. So yeah, there's a lot to think about. So I'm thinking that has a lot to do now with maybe either Mr. Stitchy or Mary. Yeah, but this is just getting very, very interesting. But that's gonna wrap it up for the video. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, feel free to leave a like and share, and also feel free to subscribe for more. And if you're new, and again, if you want to show your further support to me, you can always use star code BIGB2 when purchasing Robux or Premium. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.